Well, they're still counting the votes in some areas, but election 2023 is still pretty much in the books.
There were no presidential or governor races on our ballot, but many other local races took place, including 51 city council seats. With us this morning, former Republican Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. She's also a New York Post columnist. Nice to have you back,
Thank
Betsy.
you.
And Christine Quinn, Executive Vice Chair of the New York State Democratic Party. And of course, she was the big deal in the city council at one point. Nice to have you both here.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk South Brooklyn, my own neighborhood. Everybody was thinking there was going to be a very close race. Didn't happen, Betsy.
It didn't happen, and let me just give you the big picture. New Yorkers have been complaining. A majority of New Yorkers in polls say they're worried the city is dying because of crime, disorder, this wave of migrants that are taxing our resources, and yet fewer than 10% of registered New York voters went out. 331,000 out of almost 5 million people. That's terrible. Where were you last night, folks?
Christine, what do you think? I mean, I do think that Mr. Brannan's, he had a lot of Middle Eastern support in that area. Ari Kagan, not so much.
You know, first of all, I want to underscore the turnout in New York is worse than many, if not most places in the country. What
is it?
I wish I knew, because then I'd fix it, but
right.
I don't know.
We're from opposite parties, but we both want more voters, right?
Now, in the Brannan Kagan race, everyone said it was going to be really close. I actually never thought it was going to be close, but Justin had to run as if he was losing. I mean, he is the chair of the Finance Committee, incredibly powerful. He's been an activist, community person in most of that district. It was a new district for a very long time, so I didn't really think it was going to be a nail-biter at all. It's important for people to understand, because they may be like, didn't I just vote for the council? You did. 2 years ago. Aren't the terms 4 years? Yes. But this is the every 10-year redistricting for the city council.
Because some of the districts have changed around.
Exactly.
So let's give everybody a clear picture. 6 Republicans out of 51 seats. It's still a assuming the final votes come in on one district, all the others are decided. It's a overwhelmingly blue city council. But I think nationwide there were a lot of surprises last night.
But in the city, there were so many people who were upset about crime and upset about the migrant crisis that there was this thought that maybe there would be a few Republicans who would be able to win, but it just didn't happen. I mean, why don't you think
if Marjorie Velazquez goes down in the Bronx,
right? Yes.
But it'd be the first time there was a Republican in the Bronx in 20 years.
So what's her neighborhood like, her community like?
It's like Northeast Bronx. It's homeowners, 1- and 2-family homes.
And there was a major issue there.
Yes.
What was that?
Zoning and affordable housing.
But it's fascinating, because the zoning would only have built maybe 60 to 100 new units. Not a lot, but people got enraged, and she was originally opposed to the rezoning and then flipped and voted for it, and she could not shake the issue.
It seems like people, at least in the polls, said they wanted something to change, especially when it comes to some of these issues, but the actual results don't necessarily spell that out.
You're so right.
Does this give anyone with any mandate to change anything, or are we going to see more of the same?
Well, I would say that it makes it very clear that the Republican Party in New York needs to get a lot more effective, a lot stronger. Right now, this city has one-party rule, and with all due respect, it's never a good thing. You need competing ideas, competing candidates to make for good government.
Now, it's interesting in the city, kind of along those lines, sometimes you see the change in the primaries. So Charles Barron, who'd been a council member for a very long time, his wife was an assembly member, and then his wife was a council member, a little bit of a Barron dynasty there. He went down in the primary, and it's now council member-elect Banks. That was a call for change there.
So within the party, its own...
Exactly.
Can we talk about Long Island? Because they went completely red, right?
Yes, they did. That was not a surprise. Suffolk County has traditionally been a Republican stronghold, although in recent years that had changed.
Yeah, it would have been great if my team, so to speak, had picked some stuff up on Long Island, because we did poorly there in the last election as well. But again, it's not a surprise. It was a surprise that the exec right now in Suffolk, he's a Democrat. That was the surprise. That's been the surprise.
But I think the big surprises are what happened outside of New York.
So I was going to say, nationwide, I mean, Democrats got a terrible poll for President Joe Biden this week, and yet they are maybe buoyed by this news in Virginia and also out in Ohio.
Kentucky.
And Kentucky as well. I mean, what were the issues?
Important gubernatorial races, and even though Biden is very, very low, his approval rating is under 40%, to be charitable. The fact is that it didn't seem to have an impact on state and local races. And one reason we were discussing beforehand is abortion. That abortion brought out a lot of people in this race, especially in Ohio, where it was a constitutional amendment, a referendum. But even in Virginia, it was a very powerful issue, and in Kentucky, too.
And, you know, Ohio is basically a purple state, right? So it was not a given that the referendum on reproductive rights would win for the pro-choice side. Not at all. And in the last election nationally, you really saw the issue of abortion and reproductive rights be something that Democrats rode very hard on and really hammered away at. And I think Ohio sends a message to Democrats: keep doing that, stay on that issue, it will carry you. And in Kentucky, the governor getting reelected is noteworthy, not just because he's a Democrat, but he's also been for gun control, and that would usually be the
especially
third.
in Kentucky,
Exactly, exactly. So he is a very skilled elected official, a very skilled politician.
It was largely a referendum on abortion in Kentucky, I believe.
That's a big issue.
But I don't think it's going to have as big an impact in 2024 if Donald Trump is the Republican standard bearer, because he's made a very...
It changes everything when his name's
different
on the ballot,
energy.
Right.
Different energy.
To put it mildly.
All right, meanwhile, see how we come together, opposing sides, we speak nicely. We should be doing this in our community.
Really,
take it out.
should.
Take it to the streets.
Quinn and McCaughey.
I like that. We're going to vote for you two next. Betsy McCaughey, Christine Quinn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.